Hi, my name is Kay Moon, and I am a Western astrologer and twin flame channel. I am making this video about the Aquarius full moon. Um, Hang on, I need to lock the meeting. Okay, perfect. Sometimes people randomly pop in, so thanks for bearing with me. This is such an interesting full moon. The overarching energy of this full moon really has all eyes on the divine feminine and rebalancing our feminine energies within, whether you are divine masculine or divine feminine. Um, there's a rebalancing energy of the feminine principle of love, care, service, support at this time. So, there's also a massive exposure of patterns of codependence, and I talk about this in depth in uh, the general full moon video for this Aquarius full moon. It's a heavy one, and I'll get into some of it here. I highly encourage you to have a look at that general full moon video for a real in-depth understanding of what your divine counterpart may be going through, and a real look at what you may be experiencing as well when it comes to your connection, since we're moving into a cycle of clarifying how to rebalance the connection. So I'll go ahead and just kind of start piece by piece. This North Node in Cancer, during the time of this full moon, and North Node's been in Cancer for some time now, but it's asking all of us to really have a good look at self-care, given some of the other energies of this full moon. Some of the other energies, and because Cancer as a water sign is really about our emotionality and our family systems and our soul family, and taking care of people like family, and that's really what we're being asked to do here. But under the light of this full moon, there is a bit of exposure of where we've taken care of some people like family that do not warrant being taken care of like family. So we've got this return to sovereignty as a result of it, between this Venus conjunction here at the Sun inside Leo, and Mercury, mind consciousness, Sun, instincts, Venus, attraction, Juno, partnership, and Mars, motivation. There's this real energy, and these are all faster moving. Chiron's the slower moving in the trining sign here of Aries. There's this real energy here of it's time to take better care of ourselves. Aries being the sign of the self, Leo being the sign of self-sovereignty. There's this real energy of like, okay, outer planet influencing all these faster movers here throughout the chart, saying, hey, I need you to come back home to yourself. I need you to come back home to your throne. I need you to come back home to your own sovereignty, and reclaim the places, reclaim the power that you may have been giving away to others. With that Mercury Chiron conjunction here, there is a real healing of our consciousness and our communication with ourselves. There's a real healing here, asking us to look at how have we been talking to ourselves? How have we been providing for ourselves? If I was a king and I needed to provide for myself as a subject, am I giving myself what I need? And so there's a conscious awareness of that. Mercury being mind and communication, and Chiron taking a look at, hey, how do we heal ourselves at this time? With, there was this energy of Uranus retrograde and Jupiter retrograde together doing this really intimate dance. All year long. Now they're in conjunct here in the chart, which just means, at a 150-degree angle, they're not exactly talking to one another, and they're really not even at 150 degrees. It's almost like 8 degrees apart. So that's a super wide orb. But here's the thing about Uranus and about Jupiter. Jupiter in the chart really, when I read for twin flames, represents the divine masculine. And Jupiter's retrograde and now direct movement since our last full moon has brought to bear some truths for the divine masculine about what it is and who he is, what it is he's doing, and who it is he needs to be. Sagittarius is really the sign of our highest ideals and our greatest truths, our universal truths. And so with Jupiter now moving direct, there's this energy here of, I know what I need to do now. I know who I am, and I know what I want, and I know what I need to do. Now, this isn't necessarily the time for the doing of it. This is the time of the dawning awareness of it. Now with Jupiter at its final degrees here of the retrograde, that 14th degree of Sagittarius. So, interestingly, this dance between Jupiter and Uranus, when I read, Uranus has really been revealed to me as the divine, as God. And, in traditional astrology, Uranus represents, technology and innovation and forward movement, shocks and surprises. And so you may have had some awareness or some new insights over this full moon cycle. But what I'm seeing here, how this was revealed to me, is that Jupiter's retrograde was a real turning inward for our inner light. Jupiter in traditional astrology can also represent like the father. It can represent, your relationship to your God concept. So an interesting thing here is with Jupiter's retrograde, while Uranus was direct, is that we ended up needing to seek truth within. Uranus direct, the divine supported us while we were seeking truth within, inside of our own masculine energies. Now Jupiter has gone direct, but Uranus is now retrograde since our last full moon. And with Uranus now retrograde and Jupiter direct, it's like, okay, now that we've sought the light within, found the truth within, it's now time to bring that truth out. And Uranus direct is almost the divine pulling back and saying, okay, all right, I want to let you find out what you're made of here and who you really are. As one that I have created in my image, now it is time for you to rise and to stand in your truth. So this dance has really kind of been going on all year. It's, this full moon is just happening as part of this larger cycle. But it was, shown to me during this full moon and pointed out to me during this full moon, because I believe some of what's happening is divine masculines really awakening to places where they have been in service or codependent to situations that no longer serve them, their soul truth, and what it is that they're meant to be doing as part of their soul mission in this lifetime and in this incarnation. So very, very interesting energy there. Some of that ties to what was shown to me next to look at in the chart, which is this Pluto Vesta trine. Both of these happening in, signs that represent money and work, Taurus and Capricorn. Um, we're really being exposed to unhelpful patterns that we've had with money and work that have undermined our sovereignty, in part due to places we've been codependent. So, we think we need this job, or we think we have to have this relationship, or we have to be in this arrangement with certain people in certain ways. Um, and the Pluto retrograde piece of this is bringing a life, death, rebirth cycle, a transformation to those places where we have invested our time and money. That's Vesta up here. And saying, it's a gentle nudge to say, hey, you can let this go if it has run its course, and trust the truth that you have learned here about who you really are and what you really want and what you really need. This is happening planet-wide for all of us who are carrying, masculine energies. But specifically for divine masculines, you may be in this moment of dawning awareness of some things that perhaps have gone on longer than they should, have perhaps run their course, that you may not necessarily know how to get out of or complete just yet, but the awareness that, okay, this is done and I need to let it go. That awareness is probably there at this time for you. So, at this full moon, there's also, again, let me just see what else my notes say. Right. The reason why I think this is mainly about, relationships, definitely work for some. And if you want me to look at your chart and see what's more predominant for the letting go of at this time and the completing at this time, is it a work thing? Is it a relationship thing? Because, probably realistically, you can't cut ties with both at the same time, or maybe the universe is cutting ties for you. Let me know. We'll have a look at your chart. Email me at chrysalismoon@gmail.com, KRYSALIS moon, MOON @gmail.com, because there's a little bit of tension of the transformation. Like, do you transform the work stuff out here in Capricorn, or do you transform some of the relationship stuff? So there's this interesting energy, because this is square. Capricorn and Libra are square to one another. So there's a tension there. Libra has been hosting all year long Make, the shaman's asteroid Haumea, the creation goddess, and Pallas Athena, goddess of protection. And Libra is all about relationships. It's partnerships. This energy's been here all year long. Like I said, it's going to be here all year long. At the end of the year, the divine feminine is going to go retrograde in the middle of this energy, and that's going to be really significant for divine feminines and for all of us who hold feminine energy. This energy here has really been bringing to bear some deep truths and a lot of transformation and a lot of new beginnings in the world of relationships for all of us this year. But with Pallas in particular doing this dance here with Haumea, the creation goddess, protection and creation, this is really about protecting our creative energies. And this full moon sits almost in trine, a harmonious flow of energy to that protection energy here of our creation, our creative abilities. And so there's a bit of an exposure here about what needs to be done in order to truly protect all of our creative offspring. Now, for some of you, this means there are things that you're recognizing you need to do to really protect your children. Children that you want, future children, and children that you have. For others of you, this is, some real clarity about things you need to do to protect, like, your business, protect your other creative projects and creative endeavors, things that you're giving birth to in the world. What's happening here with this tension is that we're being asked, with this tension between Saturn and Libra energies here, and Pluto and Libra energies here, and then this harmonious flow of energy from the full moon to this, is we're being asked to take a good hard look at our spoken and unspoken commitments to serve, and where we've been serving in ways that no longer serve us, where we're being hindered from giving birth to that which our soul is called to do. So this is some big deal energy here. It's not light. It's not easy because of the tensions involved, again, between Capricorn and Libra. I've seen a lot of people come into my twin flame readings and say, oh, my partner is with a soulmate, but they're only staying because of the kids, and why can't they just see that the kids would be fine, blah, blah, blah. Or they're only staying because of the money, why can't they see that we'd be fine, XYZ. What this energy is saying is that, where relationships have run their course, awareness is being brought in. But what it's also saying is, there are certain things here that need to be protected. And you may not know the full scope or the full truth of what that means when they say they can't leave because of the kids or because of the money. Like, there may be certain abusive situations going on in that home, that partner is needing to find a way to protect. Or financially, there may be certain financial ties there, that, would cause that person to need to completely restart their life, because of ways maybe they're involved with, like, either family investments or family business, or other things like that. Situations are complicated for reasons, sometimes unknown to the partner who is standing outside of the soulmate relationship and the twin flame dynamic. So just, what's being asked for here is to be patient, but also to return to your own sovereignty, to get back in your throne here. And to stay loving and to protect your own creative energies here. So just keep that in mind, because here's the other interesting thing about this energy. All of this stuff is happening under a Saturn conjunct the South Node, which is really about the dissolution of certain outer earthly structures so that we can move toward our North Node destiny of truly caring for ourselves and caring for one another and caring for that soul mission that we've been given. Now, one of the things about this particular full moon, again, there's several things about happening at this full moon that they've been going on all year that, my guides have just nudged me to look at for the first time in this particular full moon. I believe there's a reason for it because we're at a choice point with this full moon. It's a deep choice energy here. Then another thing that's happening, again, going on all year in the background, is this trine between Eris and Pholus. Eris being spite and discord and resentment and disharmony, and Pholus being self-sacrifice and collateral damage, like where we are being collateral damage to someone else's issues. And the discord is sitting in the sign of self. And spite is, or the collateral damage piece is sitting out here in the sign of truth. And so with this trine energy, trines being a harmonious flow, there's just a real slippery slope here to the easy way out, which is feeling sorry for ourselves and resentful of others for where we've not taken full responsibility for wrong sacrifices willingly made. So I want to say that again because it's significant. There's a real ease to step into an energy of, poor me, they don't want me. I just put myself out there and put myself out there and put myself out there. And, it's just blown up in my face. That's that and the other thing. There's a real easy, slippery slope here to blaming others for that, or feeling sorry for ourselves with this trine here between spite and collateral damage. And it's time for us to, all of us, this whole year and this full moon in particular, have a good hard look at where have we made an incorrect sacrifice of ourselves willingly. Because we don't have to do that. With this Chiron Mercury at this full moon, we're really being given the choice, especially with all this self-sovereignty energy here in Leo, to step back onto our throne and to be kind and gentle to ourselves as we think about the choices we've made, to be kind and gentle to ourselves as we think about the ways in which and why we've done some of the things that we've done, especially in our twin flame connections. So just keep that in mind, that, there's a high road and there's a low road here, and there always is, always. You have free will about how you use the energies. What's interesting about this, especially in light of that Jupiter-Uranus dance that I was talking about, where, the divine has really stepped back and said, go seek your light within, I'll support you. And now that the light is within our hands and the truth is known to us, the divine has stepped back in a different way and said, great, now bring that forward into the world. There's this real question from the universe at this moment in time asking us, who are we in the face of our own choices? And who are we when God says, I made you strong enough and smart enough to save yourself from yourself? Who are you? So, yeah, real powerful stuff here. A lot of growth can be done under the light of this full moon, if we're willing to really take a look at some of the hard stuff. Jupiter is going to square Neptune coming up here, and we're moving into a Jupiter square Neptune cycle for the third time this year. In traditional astrology, Jupiter-Neptune square tends to represent illusions, self-deceptions, and lies at its lowest vibration. Now that Jupiter's gone retrograde and then direct in that square, we have the opportunity to not kid ourselves about what things are as Jupiter moves into that square position with Neptune. We have the opportunity to transmute that lower energy, instead of being in heightened self-deception, we can move into deepened spirituality. We have that choice, but it's going to really depend on which path you choose here. Are you going to stay in an energy of like, now I can't do my soul mission because my twin's not here? I hear that a lot. All of this energy here is saying, get on your throne and do your work out here in Leo. and protect your creative energies out here in Libra? Uh, or are you going to step into, like, I know the truth of this connection, I trust divine order, I'm going to stay sovereign, and I'm going to roll up my sleeves, and take ownership of my choices and move forward from here? So yeah, if you there again, there's some places that this the self-deception could really be playing out in your chart. Like it's very, very specific per chart and per person, I have noticed. And if you really want to make sure that in this next cycle of Jupiter squaring Neptune, you're awake to the truth, so that you don't accidentally wander back into a place of illusion or self-deception, then we should schedule a reading. You can do that by emailing me at chrysalismoon@gmail.com, KRYSALIS moon, MOON @gmail.com. It's interesting. In one person's chart, I saw that this was really about like money and debts. And so she's recently started cleaning up her taxes as part of the way that she's preparing for union. I've seen in another person's chart that this was really about, um, being under illusion about where the twin was at in their soulmate relationship with their soulmate partner at this time. And some truths came to light about that. For somebody else, it was, self-deception and self-delusion, and they were wandering down a path of psychic addiction. So it's very unique to each person. But again, this full moon is representing a choice point about how are you going to deal with the truth that's come to light? How are you going to get back on your throne? How are you going to work with the energies here? That are saying, where there has been, service that is, codependent, or connection that's been codependent in our relationships here in Aquarius, Libra, where is it time for you to come back home to your own sovereignty? With this Pisces stellium here, there's a real need to do it our way and to find our own spiritual path. And what truly resonates for us. Nessus is obsession. Lilith is kind of my way or the highway, needing to find our own truth. Lilith is really representative of where we'd rather have nothing than have something that's only half fit or doesn't serve. And so this Nessus conjunction here with Lilith is really for giving us a real inner fortitude around committing to our spiritual path. But again, this is why with that Neptune Jupiter here at its lowest octave, this is about being real blind to the truth, and really unwilling to see things for what they are. So again, if you want to have a conversation about some of that, definitely hit me up for a reading, and we can have a look for it. The priority list for readings opens up today. So people who are on the priority list, that just means that you've prepaid for your reading for the first 2 weeks of September. And when the reading calendar opens next Wednesday, those who are on the priority list get the chance to choose their reading time first before I open the reading calendar up to the general public. This past cycle, the priority listers filled up the entire reading calendar, so I never opened the calendar to the general public. So definitely, if you're curious about stuff going on in your chart, you want to have a look at some of these deeper things being illuminated under this full moon, I would recommend getting on the priority list if you for sure want to have time with me during the first 2 weeks of September. there's one last interesting thing here. This Chiron opposite Make energy here. Now, these two have been opposite all year. And again, I think this was really just pointed out to me at this full moon because of the ways in which this full moon is saying, I need you to look at relationships and commitments that you've had within them that are taking away from your sovereignty, because this call to self-sovereignty is big right now with all this energy in Leo. Chiron wounded healer sits in the sign of self, Aries. Make, the shaman's asteroid, sits in the sign of Libra, partnership. So they sitting opposite from one another. There's this tension between, and this inner feeling of being torn between healing ourselves and healing our connections. And you may have seen this, like when, you're in your meditation about, your twin flame journey, or, want when and how to like make certain investments for yourself. I see this in my readings all the time, and I'm like, don't get any more readings, don't pay for any more readings, just pay for healing for yourself. Like, pay for healings, it's time to heal. So that's really something I wanted to draw to people's attention here, is that this tension between Chiron and Make, alongside this energy here in Libra around protecting your creative life force energy under the light of this full moon, is really calling all of us to have a hard look at, how is it, what is it time for at this moment? Is it time for healing ourselves or healing the connection? Is it even possible to heal the connection if we ourselves are not healed? Those are some of the tougher questions here, under the light of this full moon. So again, if you want to do a read, let me know. I'm here to have a look at stuff for you. This is a heavier full moon, with a lot of truth being exposed, and a lot of really good self-growth available for you. This is definitely a time where, self-growth fully done and truly engaged in has the capacity to quantum leap your connection forward, and the capacity to quantum leap your own personal development, given all this beneficial energy out here in Leo. So thank you so much for liking, subscribing, commenting, and sharing the video. I very much look forward to hearing from you in the comments how this resonates, and seeing you in the readings.